At 7 o'clock he went upstairs. She was in the bedroom, sitting in the armchair near the window, knees drawn up beneath her cardigan. A book lay open in her lap, though he could tell she was not reading it. "I brought dinner," he said. She looked towards him. "What is it?" "Chicken, potatoes, courgettes. Very plain." "From where?" "Bellini's." Her face tightened. "Sebastian, I checked everything." "With whom?" "The waiter." "The waiter?" "I asked about seasoning." "Did they use oil?" "Yes, olive oil." "Was the chicken marinated?" He exhaled. "I was careful." "You were careful according to what you think matters. I cannot interrogate a restaurant kitchen as though it is a crime scene." "I'm not asking you to." "It feels as though you are." She looked away. "I can make something myself." "You are too weak to stand for long." "Then I won't eat." The words came out before she could soften them. Sebastian's face changed. "Don't say that. I don't mean forever. I mean tonight. You need food." "I know." "Then come downstairs." "I'm tired." "You are always tired." She looked at him sharply. He regretted it immediately. "I didn't mean." "Yes, you did." "No, I meant that tiredness cannot keep deciding everything." She laughed once, without humor. "Tiredness isn't deciding. My body is. Your fear is." Something cold passed through the room. Eliana stood slowly. "Fine," she said. "Ellie." "I said fine." She walked past him and went downstairs, one hand on the banister, moving with the careful concentration of an elderly woman. Sebastian followed at a distance, ashamed by the comparison even as it formed in his mind. The dining room had not been used in weeks. Sebastian had lit the 2 tall candles in the center of the table. Their small flames trembled when Eliana entered. For one brief second, she remembered other dinners in that room. Friends laughing, wine poured, her mother praising the curtains, her father telling Sebastian that a doctor who married into their family should be prepared for strong opinions and second helpings. The memory landed like a bruise. Sebastian sat opposite her. The food smelled warm, faintly oily, unfamiliar. Eliana looked at the plate. "Just try a little," he said. "I know how eating works." He closed his mouth. She cut a small piece of chicken and lifted it to her lips. She chewed slowly, waiting for disaster. Nothing happened immediately. She swallowed. Her throat felt tight, but then her throat always felt tight now. Sebastian watched her too closely. "Please don't," she said. "Don't what?" "Watch me like I'm a patient." He looked down at his own plate. For a few minutes they ate in silence, or rather Sebastian ate, and Eliana moved food around with her fork, taking tiny bites when she could gather the courage. Then he said, "I saw someone today." She froze. "A patient?" "Yes. You know you can't tell me about patients." "I won't identify her." "Then why mention it?" He hesitated. "She had symptoms after reducing medication." Eliana's fork lowered. "What kind of medication?" "An antidepressant." "What symptoms?" "Insomnia, agitation, sensory issues, depersonalization." She stared at him. "And what did you say?" He wished, suddenly, that he had not raised it. I said it could be withdrawal. The silence that followed was not empty. It filled the room. Eliana's eyes shone, but not with gratitude. With her, she said. Ellie, you could say it to her. It was a different situation. Of course it was. She had reduced from long-term medication, and I had taken something you gave me. That is not the same. No, it's worse. He looked sharply at her. She pushed her plate away. You can give a stranger more possibility than you can give your wife. That is unfair. No, it is exact. Sebastian sat back. I am trying to have a conversation. No, you are trying to show me that you are reasonable now because you said could be to someone else. I thought you'd want to know. I am considering things more broadly. Broadly, she repeated. Then she laughed, and the sound broke into tears before she could stop it. Sebastian reached across the table. She pulled her hand away. Don't. He withdrew. The candles flickered between them. I am doing my best, he said. I know. Then why do you punish me for it? Her face changed. Punish you? That's what this feels like. She looked at him for a long moment. I am fighting to survive inside a body that feels like it has turned against me. I can barely sleep. I can barely eat. I am afraid of light, sound, food, night, my own thoughts, my own skin. I have lost weight. I have lost my confidence. I have lost my sense of reality. I have lost my parents, and now I am losing myself. And you think this is about punishing you? Her voice had risen, but it did not sound wild. It sounded painfully clear. Sebastian said nothing. She leaned forward. Do you know what I needed from you? I have tried to give you everything. No. You gave me monitoring, you gave me explanations, you gave me pulse readings and blood pressure checks and psychiatric suggestions. You gave me your tiredness, your size, your certainty. But I needed belief. I do believe you're suffering. She shook her head. That is the sentence people use when they don't believe the cause. He looked away. There it was, the truth, plain and unadorned. He did not believe the cause, not fully, not enough, not in the way she needed. I cannot say something I am not clinically convinced of, he said, and I cannot keep living with someone who needs clinical convincing before he can stand beside me. His eyes returned to hers. What does that mean? She looked down at the chain around her neck. Her wedding ring rested against her chest, small and gold and suddenly heavy. I don't know yet. The answer frightened him more than anger would have. Eliana. She stood. The room tilted, and for a second she gripped the back of the chair. Sebastian half rose, then stopped himself when she lifted a hand. I'm all right. You're not. No, she said. I'm not. The simplicity of it silenced him. She looked around the dining room, the candles, the blue plates, the carefully chosen food, the man she had loved for 15 years sitting opposite her with fear in his eyes and pride in his throat. Then she asked the question that had been gathering inside her for weeks. Are you saying I was like this all along? Sebastian frowned. What? Is that what you're saying? That I was always anxious? Always fragile? Always waiting to be called? No, but that's what you imply. I have never said that. You don't need to. Every time I say this is withdrawal, you reach backwards into my life and bring up grief or stress or sleep or some old sadness. You are building a case against me, using pieces of who I used to be. Sebastian's face tightened. That is not fair. Then answer me. I don't know what you want me to say. I want the truth. The truth? Yes. He stood there not aggressively, but abruptly, the chair scraping against the floor. Eliana flinched at the sound. He noticed. His face softened, then hardened again with helpless frustration. The truth is that you were always sensitive. There, the sentence fell quietly. No shouting, no cruelty in the voice, no obvious violence. And yet something inside Eliana seemed to go very still. Sebastian continued, as if trying to repair the words by explaining them. You felt things deeply. You always have. When we were trying for a baby, do you remember? You barely slept some nights. You cried. You were anxious after your miscarriage. Stop. I am not blaming you. Stop. I'm saying this did not come from nowhere. No, she said, her voice shaking now. It came from a pill. It came after trauma. It came after your prescription. I was trying to help you. You keep saying that as though intention erases impact. He stared at her. The candles burned steadily now, their wax dripping slowly down the sides. Eliana's face was wet with tears, but her eyes were fierce. I was grieving, Sebastian. I was heartbroken. I was not this. I did not wake with terror exploding through my body. I did not feel my skin burning. I did not lose my sense of reality. I did not fear food, or light, or the sound of a spoon in a cup. I did not feel as if I had been removed from myself. I know it feels. No, she shouted. You don't know how it feels. The shout seemed to tear through her. She clutched the back of the chair, breathing hard. Sebastian moved towards her. She stepped back. Don't. He stopped. The distance between them was only a few feet. It felt immeasurable. I hate you, she said. The words came out before she knew she would say them. Sebastian's face emptied. For a moment, she looked as shocked as he did. Then the shock passed, and what remained was grief. I hate that you did this and cannot face it. I hate that I trusted you. I hate that I have to fight you while fighting this. I hate that you look at me as though I am becoming someone else when I am trying so hard to hold on to who I am. Her voice broke, and I hate that I still need you. Sebastian closed his eyes. When he opened them, there were tears in his own. Ellie, he whispered. She turned away. I can't do this tonight. She walked from the dining room and up the stairs, slowly, one step at a time. Sebastian did not follow. He remained standing beside the table long after her footsteps disappeared above him. The candles burned lower. The food cooled. The blue plate sat between the two empty chairs, like evidence of an ordinary evening that had failed. Eventually, He sat down. The house was silent, except for the faint hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. He looked at Eliana's plate. 3 tiny bites of chicken gone. Half a potato pressed open with a fork, courgettes untouched. Then he looked at his own hands. They were steady. That angered him suddenly. His hands, which had written the prescription, cut the tablets, checked her pulse, held the oximeter, opened doors, cooked meals, signed forms, and folded away printouts, remained steady. Everything else in their life was trembling, but his hands were steady. Upstairs, Eliana sat on the edge of the bed, with her suitcase open at her feet. She had not meant to take it down from the wardrobe. At least, that was what she told herself. But now it lay open, dark and waiting. The taxi driver said very little. Eliana was grateful for that. He asked only once whether she needed help with the seatbelt, and when she said no, he nodded, turned down the radio without being asked, and drove through the wet midnight streets in silence. Eliana sat in the back, one hand gripping the strap of her handbag, the other holding the seatbelt. Rain tapped against the windows. Street lamps passed in soft gold blurs. Every turn made her stomach shift. Every headlight felt too bright, too sudden, too much. But beneath the discomfort was something else. Space. Not peace. Not yet. She was too ill for peace. But space? No one was checking her pulse. No one was telling her she was safe in a way that made her feel less safe. No one was explaining her body back to her. She leaned her head against the seat and closed her eyes. Nearly there, the driver said gently. She opened them. The road had narrowed. The houses here were older, set back behind low walls and hedges. She knew each turn before the car took it. The old post box on the corner. The chestnut tree with the raised roots that had tripped her twice as a child. The white gate outside number 12, where Mrs. Ashford used to leave jars of homemade marmalade for anyone who wanted them. Then the taxi slowed. Her parents' house stood behind a low stone wall, its windows dark, its front path silvered with rain. The porch light had come on automatically, casting a pale circle over the door. The garden was overgrown, but not wild. Her mother would have approved of respectable. Her father would have said the roses needed a firm hand and done it himself. For a moment, Eliana could not move. "There we are," the driver said. She stared at the house. It did not seem possible that she could arrive here without her mother opening the door, without her father calling from the sitting room. Who's that at this hour? Though of course he would already know. "Would you like me to carry your case in?" the driver asked. "Yes, please," she said. Her voice sounded far away. The cold air struck her as soon as she stepped out of the car. Her hands shook so badly she dropped the keys. "Take your time," the driver said. That almost undid her. No impatience, no diagnosis, no correction. Just take your time. She bent carefully, picked up the keys, and tried 3 before finding the right one. The lock opened with a familiar resistance. The smell of the house met her first. Wood polish, dust, a faint trace of the perfume her mother had worn for 30 years, though that must have been imagination. Houses kept more than furniture. They kept echoes. The driver placed the suitcase inside the hall and waited while she turned on the lights. The hallway lamp flickered once, then came on. The sitting room next, then the kitchen. Her parents' house emerged slowly from the dark. The umbrella stand by the door. Her father's walking stick still hooked over the radiator. The framed photograph of her at 7 years old, missing both front teeth and holding a certificate for good handwriting. The small table where her mother always kept fresh flowers, now empty except for a blue glass bowl full of old keys. Eliana paid the driver and thanked him twice. "No trouble," he said. "You take care now." Then he left. The taxi reversed down the drive, its headlights moving across the walls, then disappeared. The silence that followed was not like the silence at home with Sebastian. That silence had watched her. This silence held her. Eliana stood in the hallway, with her suitcase beside her, and began to cry. Not from fear this time. From arriving, she did not go upstairs. The bedroom that had once been hers felt too far away, and her parents' room was unthinkable. Instead, she took a blanket from the airing cupboard, lowered herself carefully onto the old green sofa in the sitting room, and lay there, fully clothed. The clock on the mantelpiece had stopped at 4:15. She stared at it in the dim light. Her body shook, her skin burned, her heart surged and slowed, surged and slowed. Sleep did not come, but for the first time in weeks, when terror rose inside her, there was no second terror layered on top of it. No need to defend her experience. No need to convince. No need to watch Sebastian's face for signs of disbelief. At 3 in the morning, she whispered into the room, "I'm here, Mum." The house did not answer, but it did not argue either. By morning, Eliana had managed a little broken sleep, not enough to feel rested, enough only to know she had been unconscious for short pockets of time. Her phone lay on the carpet beside the sofa. She had texted Sebastian just after arriving, "I'm here." He had replied almost instantly, "Thank you for letting me know. Please call if you need anything. I love you." She had not answered. Now there were missed calls, messages, a number from the surgery, another from Janet, his receptionist. She did not open them. The thought of Sebastian's voice made her chest tighten. Instead, she carried her suitcase upstairs in stages, resting on every third step. Her childhood bedroom was exactly as she had left it after the funeral, tidy but paused. Cream curtains, white wardrobe, a small bookshelf with old novels and school prizes, a faded cushion embroidered with her name in her mother's uneven stitching. She sat on the bed. For the first time since the taxi ride, she noticed how cold she was. She laughed then, unexpectedly, a small, cracked laugh. Her mother would have scolded her for sitting in a cold house without socks. The laugh turned into tears. She let them come. At 10 o'clock, there was a knock at the front door. Eliana froze. The sound went through her body like an electric shock. Her heart leapt, her palms dampened. For a few seconds she could not move. The knock came again. gentler this time. She made her way slowly downstairs, one hand on the wall. Through the frosted glass, she saw a tall figure standing beneath the porch. Not Sebastian. She opened the door only a little. Julian Hart stood on the step with a paper bag in one hand and an expression of such careful concern that she almost closed the door again.